Okay guys, welcome back to another video. What am I on today? I'm on a 2021 Ford Mondeo, and she's the 2-litre EcoBlue engine. My task anyway at this point in time is to fit a wet timing belt on it. And I'm just having a little look in here at this point in time to see what's involved in this thing. What do I not have? No timing tools again. Anyway, it's a solid and a complete car being done for preventative maintenance. And the reason I think I state this quite a lot, I generally jump in on these on my first one. So most of the recordings that you're going to see are going to be my first time doing either a timing chain on a Land Rover, or wet belt in a Ford Focus, or a wet belt in a Mondeo, whatever it is. She's as I said, they're 2-litre, but I'm going to jump in because everything is marked. Everything is right at this point in time. All I really have to do is get it disassembled, get the belt off, and ensure that the other one goes back on in the same position. Don't think I'm going to get too enamoured and stressed out about this thing. Think it's going to be fairly straightforward and easy. Maybe if I was asked slight little bit tight in around here, probably will throw expansion jar out of my way, engine mounting out of my way. I'm looking at the engine ECU here. It would be nice if that was gone out of my way as well. I do see shear bolts on top, so I would like if it came off maybe in one piece, even without taking out them. Would be nicer if I could just swing it to one side. I'm done a little fast read up, and I will put in an image of the actual timing chain components, dare we say. I'll put it up now. Okay, that's after giving me a second or two to stick in a picture, surely. What am I thinking? Yeah, sorry, when I read through on Autodata, they were stating that auxiliary belts and water pump belts need to be cut off to get them out and cannot be reinstated or refitted. Don't know if I have belts sitting for that there yet, so it might be interesting for me to order them. But what I do have is, in the office ordered the parts for this through the dealer, and the dealer gave me what I needed. So I'm assuming we have crank pulley bolts, we have belts. What they couldn't get and they didn't have is the timing belt tensioner in there. So I'm not going to get too enamoured by that. I'm just going to carry on. Why am I carrying on? Because anytime I've gone in here, once the tensioners are in and in engine oil, they generally don't run dry or even get kind of scored or damaged in any which way. So I'm not jumping on a tensioner at this point in time. I'm going to go with what the dealer said they can get, is belts, timing covers and bits and pieces like that. I'm going to put it into the workshop, and once I have it in the workshop, I might just take off, a couple of these bits and pieces, potentially a wheel and wing liner maybe, to create a bit of room, try and get off that engine ECU, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty. Time to start digging, says the man. The next thing a lot of you ask me is what miles are on them. So look, there's 115,915,000 kilometers on this thing. Just before we pull it apart for reference, I've just pulled off the under tray and the wing liner at this point, just to get a visual up and in there. There's the water pump belt, so it is a baby little belt. And look, you could get it off. I'd suggest there's 3 bolts holding on the water pump pulley. You could get it off without cutting it, dare I say, if anyone needs to or can't get that anyway speedy. Alternator belt, that's only a standard tensioner up there, so that's easy enough to get off. But I don't have them here, so I'm going to order them, as I said. When I just went along and I pulled open my little box of bits here, so we have part numbers there, 2715824. That's the actual cover. The oil seal is in the cover, or part of the cover, as I say. Nice little packet of bolts and stuff sitting there. And then the timing belt, which is very small and thing, not just normally standard belt. Part number. I don't actually know which one of them is going to be the part number, but sure. 2580919, is it? God knows. Anyway, there's pictures. If you want to take a screenshot of that, you can. Time to start disassembling something. Going to do a little visual here. Would I Would I get up and would I get in to mark if I needed to? Would I be able to get up? Little cover here, 13, looks like 13 bolt anyway, and I may be able to mark ring gear when the time comes or something along those lines, potentially. Where's the actual crank sensor? This must be a tone ring. It's unusual, isn't it, for a crank sensor because it's down the very bottom. It's the first time I'm actually working on one of these engines, so it's an interesting one to get into and get a little bit educated on, just purely because I think these are getting fairly popular, these belts. Right, I'm going to start. What am I going to start? I suppose I'm going to drop the car down and I start taking off a few bits up the top, the expansion jars and stuff. I actually undone the 3 bolts here holding on that pulley. I didn't cut the belt off. That's actually a 3PK715 part number on the belt. If you want to try and get one of them, it's not listed as a generic belt, so I have to go digging in the morning. Don't have it right now. Rolling over here, I was actually just going to take out the expansion jar, so I've taken off a couple of 2 little water hoses off here, just bent them out of my way, and I'm taking off the clip on the bottom, so I'm about to pull that, but I use my little clip removal tool and I'm going to take out the expansion jar or have it loose so I can block that and stop it from leaking coolant everywhere. I don't know if I'm going to need to drain the coolant now. It did say on Autodata to drain it. Thinking the next 1 or 2 things I'm going to get off is that actual cover off the alternator pulley here, the overarm pulley. And I've looked at that and I don't know. I haven't seen an easy way of getting that cover off as of yet, but then I didn't pay too much attention to it. But right now I'm going to get out that. We're starting to create a little bit of room for ourselves. Autodata also says to remove the filler neck of that windscreen washer, but it doesn't seem like there's a joining down there, so I don't think that will come out of my way. But I'm trying to make a bit of room up here, and I don't think this is going to be too bad. Expansion jar out. A couple of block connectors that were sitting around here after being unplugged, i.e. diesel ones, and I've taken out, I can get in right in here with a 10 socket, and the same up here for the 2 bolts on the top. Now I have one sitting down here. I'm just going in with a little ratchet spanner down to take out that, and I don't need to unplug the engine ECU wiring loom, but I do need that to go out of my way if I can at all. So I'm going down to get in at that, and hopefully the whole engine ECU will just come out and swing out of my way and give us the needed or the required room. Okay, that was a bit of a useless exercise anyway. Have the bolt out, but lo and behold, the bottom section of wiring loom is limiting or holding or curtailing me from getting it out, so we're still kind of caught here. What I'm choosing to do now, I'm going to take the engine mounting out of it. I also have my engine supported here just with an axle stand and a big rubber block underneath, and I'm going to take out the mounting just to see would this, out of the way. If not, at least we'll have a bit more room and we can get into these shear bolts if needed. Okay, I don't know if this is going to be the desired result that some lads are going to want, but once I had the engine mounting removed, at that point in time, my ECU does swing out, and I've just put it up there. I've put a little bungee cord holding it up on the actual bonnet hinge, but I think I have my desired results. I think I have enough room here to start rolling in, to start changing this belt, and yeah, see what we're up against. Alternator belt, really simple, 15 spanner. Tensioner then is what size? I'm just at a wrapping tensioner. She's a T50 Torx. That bit is off. I took off the actual little bit of a bracket back here. Sorry, my bolt. I am after getting my tensioner caught and snagged it. Yeah, the bolt has gone around. Okay, anyway, well that's our tensioner off. I actually pulled back a little bracket that was sitting here, just tie clipped it onto the bracket that held the engine ECU. Time to take off this bit of an engine mounting bracket at this point. A couple of, looks like 15 or 16 mil bolts sticking in there. I'm going to suggest 15, but then you don't know on these cars, they'll be putting on strange yokes on them at this point. That's the next thing. Okay, pulling out my bracket here, and lo and behold, when I look in, if you can see that, all other bolts are just 15 millimeter, but lo and behold, that one was a funny one. So I went over and I burst open my little pack of bolts, and I took out the bolt that we had, the new one. Lo and behold, It's that. What is that? That's something that I've never used before. So there's a little set that I had sitting around there, but they're actually Torx Plus. Just for anyone. It's an EP26 Torx Plus socket, okay? There's no, I don't even know how to pronounce that, Welts sales rep goes around here, and we did see them in a van one day, and I just bought them because Alan actually said they were popular enough. So lo and behold, EP26 Torx Plus socket you're going to need to get off that center bolt, okay guys? Just so you can have it set up before you disassemble. Engine mounting is removed at this stage, and I'm after pulling out a couple of bolts. Some lads do say to mark all the bolts. Look, I'm not freaking out about it as of yet. I'm going to say that probably 90% of them are very, very similar all the way around. In the mountain there is one longer one in here, right? It's black in colour, the rest of them are silver, I'll remember that. Down here I can see one or two maybe different size bolts, but other than that, they're all running off fairly generically at that size. Probably be cautious and put them in a bit of cardboard if you have any doubt in your mind at all. What am I also doing? Before I crack that crank pulley, and from what I suppose I should go in and look at auto data, but here I am not. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drive in. I have a couple of bolts taken out at the top. I'm just using a screwdriver. I'm going to drive in a screwdriver in here. I'm going to fold the cover back slightly because it is being renewed and it's all going to bend up on removal anyway. I'm going to put it back. I'm going to just rotate my engine around until I can actually physically kind of see in here that our two 12 o'clock pins are somewhat lined up. And at that stage then, when I believe they're lined up, I'm probably going to mark a crank over there, and it's only just for the cautiousness of not removing that without any fear that anything's going to go wrong. So I'm going to get that back a little bit, take a look in there, see what I'm up against, and then probably remove my pulley down here. This is only pure cautiousness. This may not need to be done by anyone. It's only just me and the way I'm attacking it right now, okay? Actual cover is just made of pure flimsy stuff. I have been talking to the dealer actually this morning, and I was looking for that tension, and he said they never changed one. So when they didn't change one, fair enough, I said I'm not going to jump on that. And I looked in there, and that is only the main belt here, and I wanted the oil pump belt down below as well. So I have that being collected and being brought back to me. When I'm looking in here at my timing belt condition, it actually looks very good. As in, there's no deterioration in there from what I see anyway. And is that going to render that maybe the strainer down the bottom will be very, very good or very clean? Again, we're going to continue on and take off bits. What am I thinking about doing? I'm thinking about what you're seeing here is a little pin mark for 12 o'clock. So I'm going to run that up to 12 o'clock. Same over here, up to 12 o'clock. I'm going to potentially get in my pins. I'm going to probably lock the flywheel then and then spin off. You can see a socket on it. Spin off my crank pulley. And I just have Marvel there is going to turn the engine for me there in a minute, and I'll get him to stop when we have stuff lined up where we're lined up. All right, Marvel. Oh, he hopped his head. Worry about Marvel. Okay, rotate around, get our pins lined up and see where we end up. What is interesting, and I know why it's happening, because we have gears down here. When we're actually turning our crank clockwise, our cam pulleys turn anti-clockwise. Not that it matters, but just, you know, slightly different than the norm, if that makes sense. Right, we're just about, probably even gone past it there, I'm sure it's told. We're just about 12 o'clock, and make sure my marks are in time, and we're waiting. I think we're only going to use some kind of either bolts or Allen keys or something like that just to line up my two cams. My engine is rotated around, my two. What they are actually, and what I put in there is just 6mm bolts, okay? So two bolt holes lined up. In the 6mm bolt went nice and snug. I looked in here, I popped off that little cover here, and I looked in there to see a marking, but I can't see a marking. And then what I done is I put Tipex on it. I did see something on auto data about every 4 rotations marks line up down here. But with the mark on here, every time I rotate my engine twice to get these ones lined up, that is back in the same place. So because of that, I'm suggesting that, look, these marks in there that I just can't see are in theory lined up. Now, I'm going to show you, if I can, what I've done. And again, it's only me being kind of, I don't know what you call it. Is it foolhardy or what? But if you can see, can I? I've marked, it doesn't focus very well there now. I've marked my ring gear with the side of the block just in there above the drive. There's a little cover comes off, and that is going to give me what I'm looking for, to be sure that nothing is going to move. Not move, but to be sure that I can line up everything hereafter. Okay, so that's what I'm going after now. I'm now going to whack off that pulley with the Milwaukee gun, and then if anything moves, I know my crank should be in that position, I know my cams should be in that position, and I believe I'm done. Now again, if I sink myself, well, I have to overcome that problem, but I'm saying I won't. Fingers crossed, man. Time to loosen the bolt. Bolt out at this point. This little water pipe here that has to come off. There's a little 10 bolt there and a little 10 nut there, and I didn't even disconnect any water hoses as of yet. I've only taken off the expansion jar, but I was able to pull that out of my way, and that gives me a bit of room to get in a 13 bolt that's sitting in there, just holding a wiring loom. And I don't actually know what that is. I'm presuming it's probably an oil pressure control solenoid wire, like in, I think I done a video on a Mercedes where it's heading in to control oil pressure. So that came off relatively easy. What I'm just going to show is I popped up that white tab that's there on it, and then I was able to feed my little, I don't know what I'd even call it, trim removal tool, and I just went in from, if I can show it, in from the bottom here, and I was able to push the tab out, and the actual block connector came up. Now, in true and what I believe Ford fashion, the crank pulley is actually tight and held on this thing, as in it doesn't come loose and fall off like what happens on the 1 litre EcoBoost. It's tight on there. Now what I have sitting here is just that crank pulley removal tool, so I can adjust the ends in and out to grab on to the side of the actual pulley. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put back in my bolt, a couple of threads. I'm going to get this thing fitted up into place and then rotate that in up against the pulley, up against the bolt to pull out the pulley. That makes sense? That's what we're going at there now at this point in time. Get off that wiring loom, get out the last bolt that's sitting down here, and then pull off that pulley at the same time. Okay guys, this pulley is seriously tight, and what can you see? What can you see going on in here? Between there and there, I actually grabbed onto the outer section and started pulling, but I thought I was okay, but lo and behold, I've broken that part out of it. Now, in order to get this thing to move, I had to go in further, and I grabbed on the inner part, which is a school day for me and a school day for ye. What am I also going to show? Again, because I was putting so much pressure on it, I actually just used an air chisel, and I went in and I hit it a tip just there to a bit of vibration on it, and at that stage she gave and she came. So at this point in time it is coming, but the pulley for me unfortunately is binnable. So we are coming, but it is progressively slow, because what I'm doing is I'm bringing out my bolt, taking away, screwing this pin out from it, rotating out my bolt, and then pushing on the bolt again. But it is coming, but it is tight. So maybe it's something that some of you might want to look into if you're doing this. Is a good tool for taking off the pulley, and then it's probably even the first time I've used this thing, if truth be told. And then be careful you don't break it, but maybe even ponder on, is this crank pulley an available item? I don't know whether I'm going to be able to get this fast, or does it stop my job or what, but at this point anyway, I'm taking it apart. I'm going to continue working, and we'll have to order this thing in the next few minutes. Et voila, as they say. Okay, one in relative bits. Timing cover off. Like again, it does really look fairly straightforward in it. It's a pity that pulley actually broke on me. I dare I say, if I knew it was going to be quite as tight, I might have been a bit more cautious. And I suppose, if the truth is told, I probably should have grabbed on, wherever the pulley is, where's the pulley? I should have grabbed on to the back of it to start with rather than the front of it. So if it is only, 20 or 30 quid, it might be nice to have as a spare. Same pulley is on the Transit as on the Mondeo. So just might be, even for me, it might be nice to have one to hand. And again, we're learning from this. This is going to be the one that is going to tell us what we're going to not do wrong in the next one. I got the water pump belt here. That was in stock. This is the actual oil pump timing belt. I'm told, weirdly, the lads don't change them. I wouldn't put in a time belt in this thing without changing the oil pump belt, but I'm told that lads don't change them. I think actually the bottom one is a little bit more, would I call it degraded? Generally what I find is, sorry, I don't know, my camera work is shoddy there. Generally what I find is that the ones that are spinning more, fail more often. There is no Woodruff key in that joke. Anyway, that just slides out, but that I'm aware of, or that I kind of knew of. Again, sorry, the camera work is bad there. We're going to roll down and just have a little look. We have a solid and a fixed Woodruff key in here. I know what I wanted to see. I wanted to see, that bit. If we can see, can we? My light. Anyway, the Woodruff key is at 12 o'clock up here when our marks are right above. Don't see what marks are in here as of yet. Seemingly is marks in on that pulley, but I can't see them. I'll do a little bit of cleaning in a moment and just be sure. But anyway, we're in here now. We can start renewing belts. I don't know at this point in time if I need to take off the sump, because right here and right now I have it standing on a jack stand and a lump of rubber underneath the sump. But do I need to take it off to change that belt in there? So do I need to support my engine up top, bring the car up, pull off the sump to get that belt renewed, put the sump maybe back on, then drop it back down and have it in that state, and then change my main belt up top? Or what? I don't know. We're going to figure it out anyway as we go, okay? Okay, I was actually looking for markings in through a hole up here at the back of the pump, but the actual markings are that there and that there. And that's where it's going to take, I believe, 4 revolutions of our engine to line up. Well, it said that on Autodata that it could take up to 4 revolutions for these marks to line up again. So I'm going to reinstate my old bolt in here. I'm going to rotate around. We still have our markings in here, and I still have my pins in up the top. So I'm going to take out the pins. I'm going to give it 4 revolutions just to, well, maybe it mightn't take 4, but whatever amount it's going to take to get these 2 marks lining up again. I don't think it's of no concern to me right now, but in saying that, I'm actually going to do it anyway, just for the pig iron, to let these marks align, okay? That's what I'm going to do. No, I don't need to. I'm debating in my head, do I even feel like, maybe for reference for ye, maybe if anyone was doing it, that they might like to see these things lining up. So we'll give it a rotation and see can we get these lining up. If they line up, we do. If they don't, well, look, I'm going to use my markings that I have in here in the flywheel, or the ring gear, and the 2 pins up the top, because that's where it's right. It still is right. Our oil pump, there's no timing on that, so I'm not too bothered about that. I have also moved my little support here of the engine, because of the mounting off, to remove the sump, just to have a look at the strainer number 1 and aid our replacement of that oil pump belt. I'll give it a couple of rotations and see what we see. Okay, engine rotated. I had to go around 3 or 4 or 5 times. We're back to these 2 lined up. They don't sit exactly in the middle, if the truth is told, so they're not bang on square in the middle of each other. They just line up to in the same vicinity, you know, a little bit, wouldn't say scareways, but you can see what I'm saying. Then I don't know if you'll be able to see it on camera. My little marking in here is lining up, which is okay. Oh, and I have my pins back in up the top, okay? So they have just sat in and they're sitting freely. So, time for this belt. I'm going to renew this belt here and now anyway. So what's interesting is there's not actually a pulley. So that is not. The reason they don't change, I'm assuming the tensioner, is that's not an actual pulley. It's just like a slip ring or something. So the belt just runs on the back of that. There is no gear in there. It's a spring and a little, like a ski for all the world sitting in around there, which is pretty interesting. So yeah, look, it's a size, what it looks like is a size 7 Allen key, sits into that hole there. I'm hoping that it'll just spring load back. The markings are all sitting where they should be. Get the belt off it. Should be, it looks really easy to swap out that. So we're going to get this thing swapped out as fast as we can. Belt off. Just give you a visual on that. You can see it. It's only a little kind of a slip ring. Hence the dealer is not renewing them. Belt doesn't actually look bad at all. So it doesn't. No piece has gone off it, which is a good thing. And here's our new belt. I'm going throwing that on straight away. What I've done actually, maybe it's handy, it's actually size 8 Allen key. Apologies, I thought it was size 7. I put the Allen key into it. I pushed it back and then I reinstated one of the engine mounting bolts just to hold the tension off of the tensioner so I can fit in the belts and stuff all fairly easy, okay? Straightforward, belt going on. That was a really easy bit. Yeah, belt just sat on nice and easy. Little bit of tension on that side, slack is on this side. Suppose now we'll, if I can do it one-handed, I'm going to put out my little bolt. I think it's only in a thread or two. It should come out easy. Come on. That's only because I'm holding the camera now rather than, you know, trying to. Okay, off she goes. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Right, just didn't want to do it with any speed or weird duress on there. Okay, simple as that. They really are an easy belt, to be honest with you. Even the 1 litre EcoBoost really are an easy belt, and yeah, very, very simple to change. I think I'm going to stop at that point. I'm going to roll down. I'm going to pull off the sump, get that wet belt on the pump renewed, and yeah, just have a look at the strainer, make sure that's okay. At that point, I'll start probably cleaning up things up here and reinstating. I've taken out all my bolts out of the sump, and what I'm doing, just the format in which I went at it, kind of a straight angle. Maybe if there's anyone out there have any better tips than this, of straight, I'm directly, if that makes sense, in at the sump here. So I only just sent in my screwdriver in there. It's starting to leave go. Not actually falling off enough yet that I can, oops, she's starting to crack. I can show it on camera, I was going to say. But she's coming. We are nearing the point of it come off. I will pull it off. You can see the gap is broken, but hopefully that's of some assistance to someone. If it stays down, I'd nearly come into the back here, and I can. I'm getting into the back there now. Okay, what I don't want to do is I don't want it to leave go, fall on the ground, and create a mess on myself. Okay, but you can see it's flipping and flopping around the place, so it's only a case of a little tug now, but I'm going to do it second hand so I don't make a mess. Okay, on my first look in here anyway, we have a strainer that is absolutely spotless clean. The 2 wires that we had up here by the timing belt are actually only oil pressure control solenoid wires. They come in, look, and they run down around here. I have a little size 8 bolt that's holding on this little cover, so I'm going to take out that, drop it down, and get our little belt in here removed.
Okay, that's a doddle anyway, lads. I have taken off the little size 8 bolt. The belt, I'm assuming, is just going to fall out here really, really easy. I have to say now, in all fairness, Ford, the swapping out of these items are really cushy. You have to turn the belt around to feed. I'm going to change hands. You have to turn the belt around and feed it out by the pulley, but nothing fancy at all. Really, really easy. Time for our new one to go in. As easy as that, guys. That is gone back together. Our new little belt is sitting in situ. A little bit more tricky to put on because there's no tensioner in there. The actual belt is relatively tight without anything. There's a slight little bit of give in it, but not enough for it to jump teeth or, not do its job. There's no timing on the pump, so it's just a case of the pump rotating. And there is a Woodruff key in that part as well, so that's all. I like my marking over here now, to be honest with you, because I don't have locking tool. But there's nothing floating here. There's no movement. Everything is held fairly robustly solid and all that kind of crack. But it's time now for me to start reassembling things. I'm going to start cleaning up my surface or contact area and getting a bit of sealer on timing covers and stuff and start bolting this thing back together. I have our surfaces, mating surfaces I was going to call them, cleaned up, prepared. I actually, maybe it's an overkill, put a little sliver of sealer along the very, very bottom as well. Maybe I'm kind of crackers. Any which way, here I have a bead of sealer gone all the way around the actual cover. And what I was actually doing, and whether it was reference or not, I looked at the old timing cover to see where the actual sealer sat, and I followed route. Now, I don't believe I needed any in here because we have a gasket sitting in there. But in saying that, a lot of people are saying, oh, they leak oil from in here. So I just put a little sliver in there as well, just for the sake of it. Also, I like white sealer. Why do I like white sealer? I think you can see if it's starting to weep anywhere, you can see it very fast. And in the early days, you know if you're right, wrong, or what the heck. But that's it. This is sealed up, prepared up. That's cleaned and ready to go. So I'm going to get this thing on. First, I have my pins taken out here. I have verified my markings on tops and bottoms and all that kind of crack. Our belt is in down the bottom. I'm hoping that I'm going to put the covers on here, put back in our engine mounting. And when we have the engine mounting in, then I'm going to bring the car up in the air. It's actually down on the ground and I don't feel like trying to stick or get a sump prepared for going back on while down low. So I'm going to reassemble here and then instate our engine mounting and bring it up in the sky. Cover in, blast the bolts around it. I sat in my engine mounting and sat back in the engine ECU into place. At this point in time, I'm going to stop, I suppose, assembling here, and I'm going to go up because I want to get sealer on the sump as fast as I can. The one thing I was nearly overshot was just be careful when you're leaving sealer dry, get back on the tensioner because it goes actually through the cover and through the sealer. So make sure you get that reinstated before allowing the sealer to dry, because you don't want any of that sealer blocking your hole or inhibiting your bolt going back into it, okay? Yeah, that's it. Up in the sky. Clean off the sump, get that one. Slight little bit of distortion over there in the corner, straightened out. Very little, but straightened out anyway. Sealer put on it, ready to be reinstated back up. Little cover back on my timing chain, and the mating surface cleaned up and polished up again. Okay, ready for a sump to be sat up here and leave the sealer dry overnight. New crank pulley is at the arriving, guys. There's a part number. Again, I don't know which one is which, but sure, you can take a screenshot of that if needs be. I have the pulley gone in and tightened. I only tightened it with my Milwaukee gun, so I didn't torque it of any weird way. The belt, I put on my water pump pulley on here, and I have that little yoke there, if it's any good to your part number, for tensioning or tightening in the putting back on, the stretchy belt, okay? So all I think I have to do is just rotate the engine and put it on, but maybe it might be awkward without that, and it could potentially split or cut the belt. Job done, belt on, nice and easy. I'm just after realising that last night I didn't actually show ye. I think I stuck on the sump and I was in a hurry to leave sealer dry overnight. So it was up, cleaned, stuck together. It's nice. You can see the nice beads of white sealer in there. I actually think it's nicer to be able to see what's happening in there with nice white stuff rather than the black stuff. That's just me. Yeah, so that's it, I think. 2 belts fitted, 2 new belts, bolt, pulley, timing belts inside. Okay, time to get in a sub of oil and turn the key. Oil and filter gone in. Oil filter's down here. I'm actually doing a service and transmission service on this thing as well. But at this point in time, I'm on the end. I'm getting in to turn the key and see what happens. As I said, 2 belts, tensioners, all that stuff put on, all the relevant bolts that we took apart. At the top it up with coolant here, a little bit overfilled, but leaving it at that point for the time being. Yeah. Looks like 7.2 litres to change the oil, which I didn't put there, but someone put there. And that's it. Every clip, every nut, every bolt is back on. Sump is tight. Oil in her. Time to turn the key. You can stay here. We call it live with me. And this is how we key in here. We have a key stuck down there. This is that pivotal moment where you go, again, everyone will know it. Happens all the time. Press the button, see what happens. Where's the button? How do we start this thing? We're after doing a couple of rotations of the engine guys, just to make sure we won't create any or do any damage. Okay, up she's going. Nice. Fast. Easy. I wouldn't say it's easier than my finger. Easier than I actually expected. I actually thought it might have been a little bit harder. Realistically, there's probably a day in its entirety involved here, from the disassembly to the reassembly, the sump coming off and both chains being changed, both belts being changed. But that is it. I think I'm after giving you every part number I can. I'm after giving you any guidance I can, and it's done with no tools. Now, I won't give anyone this job, any timing belt I take on, with no tools. What I do say to lads is I like to take it on myself at the start, just to see what's involved in it, especially if there's no damage done. Can I overcome? Could I come around? Can I? And now I'll buy a locking tool for this thing next week, there's absolutely no doubt. But right now I don't have it. I didn't buy it. I'm a bit maybe like that. Well, it's maybe not cuckoo, but a bit weird. Anyway, for this, lads, a 2021 Ford Mondeo 2-litre EcoBlue timing belt. Job done. Happy days, guys. I will see you all in the next cartoon, and once again, thanks very much for liking and subscribing and commenting and all that. I really appreciate it. I love the interaction with some of you guys, good or bad. So if you see something you don't like me doing, tell me. If something I like, ye see me doing, you like. But anyway, yeah, look, see you all next cartoon. Guys, Peter Kennedy signing out. See you later, boys.